So be it.
So,
be it.
so we are starting on question 873, the law of justice, love, and charity. I'm sharing my screen with you. Just one sec. Where is it? Here. Can you read well?
I see it. I see it. Well, very good.
Yeah, you can read from there, Paco?
Yeah, 873.
Yeah, so but before you start, let me talk a little bit because this is we've been studying the moral laws, the natural laws, the moral laws, and this is the last one: law of justice, love, and charity. But one thing that is very important for us, because all the other laws are individual laws: law of progress, law of destruction, law of all individual law. And this one encompasses justice, love, and charity. But if you go to Hebrew, which is the origin of the gospel, the root of the three words, justice, love, and charity, is the same. So the three first letters in Hebrew of justice, love, and charity are the same. And of course, I don't know how to say them. So in a sense, this is a law of, if you put all these three together, it's one thing only in the origins at Jesus' time.
Got it.
Okay.
I understand. Justice, love, and charity in Hebrew is one word.
Yeah, it's not exactly one word, but the three words start with the same three letters, and then they have different
endings.
Endings, yes, which there is a word in. Julio, what's the word in English?
Very good. Okay.
They share the same prefix, not the etymological root. The same prefix, and you change the ending.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Got it. It's a prefix. Yeah.
Yeah. So they are usually very close in that sense. So that's what I wanted to bring. So now you can go, Paco, if you.
Okay. Is the sense of justice natural, or is it the product of acquired ideas? It is so natural that you are immediately appalled by the idea of injustice. Moral progress definitely inspires these feelings, but it does not create it. God has placed it in the heart of all human beings, and this is why you often find more stringent notions of justice in simple, primitive nations than others that are more educated.
Okay. So the first question that Kardec asks the spirits is this sense of justice natural, or is it the product of acquired ideas? And we just have to look at ourselves, and we know that is natural, because even those the criminals or the less evolved spirits, they have their own sense of justice. It may not be the correct one, or the more in accordance to the natural law of God, but some sense of justice we all have. So it's important to understand that this is not acquired ideas. We perfect our notion of justice as we evolve. So whatever seems just to us 2,000 years ago, nowadays we have a different view of justice. But 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, we already had this notion of justice, meaning, we always want justice for us, even if it's a completely selfish notion of justice. We all have some notion of justice that is, we bring it with us in our evolution. Okay?
Go on.
Any questions? Are we good here? Yep. Go, go on.
If justice is a law of nature, why do people understand it so differently? How can the same thing be just to one person, yet unjust to another? It is because your passions often mingle with this sentiment and corrupt it, as they do with most natural sentiments, causing you to see things from a full point of view.
So here, the problem on the question is, there is a mix of what is really justice and our own sense of justice. These are two different things, because our own sense of justice is always, as they say here, mingled with our sentiment, and we can corrupt it. So I think I think it's just if I win the lottery and others don't. Again, it's my own sense of justice that is completely mixed with my own selfishness. But the law of nature, justice in terms of law of nature, considers that we are all the same, we're all equal before God, and we have all the same rights and same duties. That's the natural law, the law of justice. But of course, as we evolve and we interpret according to our own interests or the interests of our own groups, we are going to deviate from the justice according to the natural law. It's very important to understand this distinction here.
So justice is a natural sentiment that needs to be evolved.
Yes.
And sometimes that natural sentiment that's in the process of development or evolvement gets mingled with the passion, and that's what it gets corrupted. Am I making sense?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
okay, I got it then. I got it.
Yeah, you have the true justice. It's according to God's law, right?
Exactly. Yes, that's what you explained it right. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
But our own sense of justice doesn't go hand in hand with the natural law, because we make our
mingle it with our passions of selfishness and all that. Exactly.
Yeah, which doesn't mean that we don't call it justice according to our own vision. What I think is just, it may be different from God's natural law, but it's my view that it's just. So it's a matter of evolving and adapting to the evolution of times, right?
Yeah.
Now we have the next question. We have the definition of justice according to God's law.
Yeah. Well, this is a good one. How should we define justice? Justice is respect for the rights of each and every individual. I love that. What determines these rights? Two things: human law and natural law. As human beings have created laws in harmony with their values and character, those laws have established rights that have varied with the progress of enlightenment. Your laws, although still far from perfect, no longer include what were considered rights in the Middle Ages. Those rights, while horrific to you now, appear fair and natural at that time. Therefore, the rights established by humans are not always compliant with justice. In addition, they only govern certain social relations, while there are an infinite number of actions that are only tried privately by our conscience.
Okay. So first, we have the definition of justice. Justice is respect for the rights of each and every individual. So we are all the same. That's the true justice. We have to be judged according to what is right for us and for everybody else. So rights and duties are the same for everyone else. But of course, as we start living in society, we started having to create human laws. So we had to control ourselves, put limitations on our actions, so as not to enter into the rights of my neighbor. And of course, these human laws are imperfect, as we are imperfect. So if we look at history, we see that our laws have evolved, that we are progressing in terms of producing better and more just laws, but they are still far from being perfect, because they will only be perfect when they'll treat everybody the same and will make justice to everybody according to their actions. Now, you know, we have imperfect laws in the sense that, for instance, they don't punish in the same way people of different classes, wealth, etc. A very simple one is traffic laws, right? A ticket fine is the same, but the condition of someone that has a lot of money, a ticket, they will park in a place that they are not allowed because they don't care about paying $100 ticket. But someone that doesn't have money, it's exactly the same ticket, and it will be a much more painful. So
Exactly.
it's a little bit of a deviation from the true justice, because you are punishing, you are using the same punishment for different individuals, different in different conditions of the individuals. A simple example to show how far we are from human justice being perfect, and we're not even going to go into the legal system, right? That of course, if you are not a white person, you are more in risk of going to prison. You are more at risk of being getting into trouble with the police and other things, just because you are not, you look different, or if if your sexual orientation is different, you are in more risk also in being abused and being bullied. So human law is still far from perfection, but again, we just have to look at the time of Christ, right? The law at that time was basically the law of the stronger. People gather in groups and judge and decide the fate of others according to their origin, their beliefs. So we are evolving. That's important. 50 years ago, laws were different here in this country, and minorities were not protected. Nowadays, at least in terms of law, they are protected. In practical terms, it's a different story. We're not going to get there. But according to the law, we are all the same in that sense. But as we are imperfect, our laws are imperfect, and the only way for us to get better laws is to evolve and to change the laws, and that's what we are always aiming for. Sometimes without much success, sometimes more successful. Okay, again, it's important to differentiate human law and natural law here in terms of justice. Natural law, natural law justice is perfect. Human law justice is imperfect. Okay.
Hey, João, I have a question.
Renato, how are you?
Yeah. Since we have the law of progress that states no matter what, even slowly, we are always moving forward, why it seems that we discuss these laws as if it was something optional? meaning that we can choose to obey or not to obey, to follow or not to follow any of laws?
Well, one thing is you are talking about the human laws or the natural laws?
All the laws, because eventually you have to follow human laws if you wanna, you're gonna fall in the God's laws, because it's a consequence. You're developing an intellectual and the moral, pretty much both.
Well,
So there's no way for you to disrespect human laws and follow God's law. So they are all the same.
not really, because there are some human laws that goes against the natural laws. So, you know, the death penalty is a human law that exists in some countries, including this, and it's not the law of God, because the law of God, justice, is acquired as cause and consequence, and not by killing our brothers and sisters. So human law can go against God's law.
Oh, okay.
But you know, in the end, Renato, it comes down to our own selfish and pride, right? Because when we fall, and we'll see this very shortly in another question, right? The basic teaching that Jesus gave to us is do to others what you like to do others to do unto you. If we could follow that all the time, 24/7, we would not deviate from the natural law. I'm not even talking about human law. We would not deviate from the natural law. But of course, we cannot do that because we are imperfect and we are still thinking. Even if we have the understanding that we shouldn't go against the natural law, still it's not part of who we are. So we are still going to make mistakes in consequence of our own selfishness, our own pride. So we are going to deviate basically because of those two difficult sentiments that we have, that they are part of our build for evolution. It's a natural attributions that we have that help us in some sense towards our evolution, but it's something that we need to work hard to reduce and eventually eliminate, right? Because when you think of others exactly as you think of yourself, and you can do it 100% of the time, then you are no longer selfish, or you no longer have the sentiment of pride. You are probably a perfect spirit, or very close to that. But until then, we are going to fail. We are going to fail because we go back to our tendencies of choosing our own path, and sometimes this path it's not really the best for others. Again, it's as Eliana wrote here very well, it's a free will. It's the power of free will. So our decision to follow the law or break the law, it's our free will. As the more we learn, and here we are all studying Spiritism and we know better, we know what's right and what's wrong. Doesn't mean that we are able to always do what's right, right?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Was it good, Renato?
Yeah, I think you answered part of that. I was thinking more in the lines of, well, since it's a law, of course, we're not gonna go, on the extreme, but law is something that, there's no way around. You have to obey, either one way or the other. And even though
you don't have to obey, you should obey, but it doesn't. We don't.
Right? Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, even though you can choose whatever you want, kill, whatever. But in the end, we are always progressing, even in slowly. That's why I started the question with that, you know, if that with the law of the progress. You know, we studied, you know, in different subjects that there will be a time that you'll be so bored or whatever, say, you know what, let me try something different because I can't take this anymore. And then you start to do good things, even doesn't matter if it's a good reason for a bad reason, but you need to evolve. So that's why what I asked was, why do we talk as was an option? Because this is not an option. We have to evolve. We can use different words. We can say that we have a free will, everything you want, but we know that our destiny is to be perfect. If it's gonna take 300 million years or a couple incarnation, it's up to us. But there is no way around. We will get to perfection. We will evolve. So we have to at some point, at a certain point, to respect and obey the law. Of course, it's better if you understand and do it because it's the right thing, but it doesn't really matter. We will have to accomplish that.
Júlio?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, okay. Júlio?
So, okay, so think of these divine laws that we are studying as the pieces of a puzzle. Okay, each one of these laws is a piece of this puzzle, and we take a piece of it, we look at it, and we say, oh, maybe this is the border of the puzzle, maybe this is the waterfall, maybe this is part of the sky. So each piece, each law gives an aspect of it, but it doesn't give us a whole picture. When we put them all together and we assemble the puzzle, the jigsaw puzzle, what we see is one thing, the picture. The picture is cause and consequence. So in essence, they all come down to cause and consequence. And because it's cause and consequence, we don't have to do anything. What we have or what we go through is everything we do, everything we think, everything that we say generates reactions, generates consequences. And that's all. It's as simple as that. One of the things we get bogged down on is the word law. And I don't say this to complain about the word. It's the word we have, because we don't have another word to translate this. But we have to understand that when we speak of the divine laws, it is just an explanation of what would be the most constructive behavior for us, not something that is imposed from outside in. Human laws are imposed from outside in.
Very good point.
Human society establishes the laws, so the laws are established by a society, you know, especially in societies that are more democratic. So they are established by the people, for the people. So there's an assembly of individuals who understand the code, that it develops the laws, and then those things are imposed on the population in return. God's laws are not imposed. These laws, these pieces, are different perspectives of what our behavior could be to be constructive all the time. Whether we follow them or not, it's immaterial, because what happens is that in the end, the full picture of divine justice as a whole, because divine justice is one, divine justice is the whole code in one thing, cause and consequence. So whatever I do, I create the consequences for myself. And eventually, I go through so many consequences I dislike that I change my behavior. Or I learn from the bad consequences a friend or a family member goes through. So I don't have to go through every possible experience, but I can also learn from others if I lower my my pride, for instance, or if I increase my humility, my understanding of and respect for others. But see these laws, as Ron was saying, see these laws as these pieces of the puzzle, And don't think of things that are imposed by the divinity, by the creation on us. They are just suggestions how we can make the most constructive approach to our lives. And they are pieces or facets or perspectives of the whole, the figure, the whole jigsaw puzzle, which is cause and consequence.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Oops. We lost the.
Yeah.
One sec. One sec. Let me put it back. I mean, just one sec. I lost the. For some reason, it disappeared here, but I'm getting back. Sorry for my computer decided to play with me here. Here we go.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Go on.
Yeah.
Apart from the rights established by human law, what is the basis of justice according to natural law? Christ told you, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. God has placed in each of you the desire to see your own rights respected as the rule of true justice. When uncertain as to what we should do in regard to others at any given moment, we should ask ourselves what we would want others to do to us under the same circumstances. Beautiful, beautiful. God could not give us a safer guide than our own conscience. The true measure of justice is, in fact, wanting for others what you would want for yourself. Merely wanting for yourself what you would want for others is not exactly the same thing, as it is unnatural to wish harm upon yourself. If we use our personal desires as the guide for our behavior towards our neighbors, we would never wish anything but good upon them. Universally, human beings have always sought to enforce their personal rights, while the unique factor of Christianity is the application of personal rights as the basis of our neighbors' rights.
So, yeah, Julio, go ahead. You're in mute, Julio. You're in mute.
Where you see, just one quick thing, where you see the true measure of justice, change it to the measure of true justice. Where you read the true measure of justice,
is, okay.
You change it to the measure of true justice.
The measure of true justice, got it.
Yeah, it's a typo. It got placed in the wrong position.
Yeah, the measure of true justice.
Yeah. So here we start with what Jesus told us, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And starting from there, you know, that's the perfect justice, because if you do to others what you would like others to do unto you, if you are really doing that, you are practicing the natural law, the divine law, which is that everyone has the same rights, the same duties. And again, as Julio said very well, it's the natural law. It's not a law imposed. God's law is there. It's there for us to follow. It leads us to be a perfect spirit one day if we follow the natural law. if we don't follow a natural law, we are going to create consequences that will cause us to face difficulties on our path. So, as the spirits said here, God could not give us a safer guide than our own conscience. When you look at our conscience and you apply that phrase to our own conscience, we know that that's the perfect justice. Now, of course, this is at this moment utopia, because we still cannot do that. It's the target, it's our aim, but and it's where we should work towards, but we're not there. And the thing here is not to feel depressed because we cannot do it. We have to always look at our path of evolution as a continuous process. So what we are doing today is better than what we were doing 10, 20 years ago. That's a sign that we are progressing. What we know today, it's more than we knew 10, 20 years ago. It's a sign of intellectual progress. Now, the intellectual side, to make it become a part of us, it's also a process. It's a long process that we have to work it every day. And then Kardec made the comment here that is very important, right? Which is, it's wanting for others what you want for yourself, not the other way around. Because of course we only want the best for ourselves. So we want everybody to be millionaire, but if everybody cannot be millionaire, so only me, it's fine. You know, if you want for others, it's you apply to yourself what you want to for others. That's what's going to make a difference in our evolvement. Okay.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah.
This line here, I have this line here. Merely wanted for yourself what you will want for others is not exactly the same thing.
Yeah, exactly what I said. Yeah, I was explaining, because when you think first of yourself, you want all the best for yourself always. But sometimes, sometimes when if you want, let's say, a less evolved spirit that is angry at somebody, you want to hurt someone. You don't want to hurt yourself. Nobody wants to hurt themselves, you know, unless you have some problems, other type of problems. So, you know, you wanting for others, you look for the external to others, to the world around, before you're looking at you. It's different than looking at you first and then looking to the rest.
The point of reference would be others, not me.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that. Renato.
Yeah, it's not even a question. I would like to hear your take on it, because I was fine with this until I think it was Monday. I think Julio presented almost the same thing, and it got me thinking. I don't have a problem with what he said. I have a problem with with this do to others what you want to do to yourself. Because I started thinking, I was, you know, even spoke with Phil. We don't know what's best for us. And, you know, not too long ago, you know, I would do to others, give them a pack of beers and some picanha because that's what I want for myself. And we know that beer is not good for me, neither for me, neither for them. So for me to apply, let's use the word judgment on what's best for the others based on what I think is best for me. Now that we've been talking about this for, you know, a while, I'm kind of not sure. I'm not saying that the law is perfect, what Jesus, and I'm questioning that. I'm questioning our judgment to follow that with our view of what's right for us. You understand?
Yes, but so two things here. First, this applies much more into the moral sense than on the physical sense, okay? But even if you apply to your own example, you may want to give beer to others because that's what you want for yourself, but you know that it's not healthy.
I know, right? Today.
But you knew then. It's you know, alcohol, it's not good, and we know that for some time, right?
Yeah.
Again, you can discuss moderation, not moderation. It's a different story. But you knew before that alcohol is not good. So by wanting others to have alcohol is because you want yourself to have it. It's just trying to find company in your own issues, right?
Mystery.
Yeah, because in the end, and I agree with you, our notions of right and wrong evolve as we evolve, and change as we evolve, actually. Change as we evolve. But a lot of the things that we want for us today, we know that is not right. We just want. So we may want for others because, you know, the misery loves company, or something around, or like your obsessors that want you to not evolve because they don't want themselves to evolve. So you are going to say that they want for you that you don't evolve, so they're not evolving also. Is it right? No, in the sense, we all know that it's not wrong. So they do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It goes in a moral sense, in a sense of moral evolution, because when you want to others, do to others something that you know it's going to harm them, but you want to go through the same thing because you still cannot overcome your limitations, it's a different story.
Yeah, I understand that, but you know, I could use a different example, as you always say, for example, that people that love you and they want to help you, they really believe in their heart they are doing the best thing, and they are really doing the worst thing, but they are doing out of love because that's why they understand. That's what they want for them. Yeah. So maybe, you know, physical things like drinking, smoking, whatever might not be a good example. Might look into the moral, as you say. Even, you know, I want to help my child, I want to help my father, whatever, and you're trying to do for them what you would like to do for you, to done to yourself, but maybe it's not the best thing, again, because you're a judgment.
Julia.
I agree with João. We should see this much more on the moral side, because Christ was not concerned with the rituals of everyday life or habits. Christ wanted to be general and universal so that he would not exclude anyone. So the morality, the moral basis, or what some would call ethical, it really doesn't matter the word here, but this side of us should be universal. So we should see it from this point of view, the moral side. But I think there is something built in these words, which was actually from the very beginning, not do unto others. That is an English translation that was an English interpretation and adaptation that started hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and now we are keeping it. And this is why, if you look carefully, what João is displaying to us, there is a number right after it, because in the French is actually what is closest to what we believe was the original, which was to want for others what we want others to do to us. It's more of a want than anything. And the idea here is the absence of malice. Because if we are to be very careful, everything that we do, even the most uplifting, most charitable actions we have, compared to what the high order spirits do, we are still for them, that would be almost like a sin or something wrong. But what we have in this sentence is the absence of malice. So when we do something for someone and there is no malice, we don't know better. That is all that we truly know. And we wish for them because we think that we are happy. We think that this is fulfilling us in a way. Because of the absence of malice, even if that may cause them harm, it is not a harm that comes with an intention, a wishing to do so. We are learning. We are definitely far from the absolute state of anything. So we are going to be wishing or doing or wanting for others, to others, things that actually are going to be, let's say, less constructive than that we could have wished or wanted or done to them. But it doesn't matter, as long as when we get to that level of wishing, doing, wanting, we do not have the intention to hurt someone. This is it. Christ wanted here to create a state of absence of malice, because a heart that is not malicious is always learning. If you think of a heart as a finite reservoir, a heart that has no malice has its entire volume to be filled with good things, with charitable things, with new ideas. A heart that is now half filled with malice, with pride, with anger, doesn't have enough, its entire space, its entire volume. You can think of it like a bottle, the heart being a bottle with a finite volume. So in our dealings with others, if we do not have this malice in our hearts, we do not have the malice in our actions, we do not have the malice in our thoughts or in our speech. And if we figure out later on that it wasn't the most constructive thing to wish or do, it doesn't matter, because we learn from it and we immediately change ourselves. That is the point. We change ourselves because that heart has no misery in it, no pride, no envy, no jealousy, no anger, no sense of superiority. That heart is pure and ignorant, and will go towards pure and perfect.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you just to complement Renato, when you talk about the love that sometimes we love to the point of being possessive, love in itself, a possessive love in itself, is a sign of selfishness, right? So are we really doing to others what we have others do unto you, or we're just thinking about ourselves with this possessive love? Just food for thought there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, both of you.
Yeah.
That's gonna have me thinking through the week.
Okay. Go ahead, Paco.
But by the way, do you know that addiction can be manifested through a substance, through an activity, and the last one, you may not believe this one, through a person.
Through a person.
A person, like what you said, obsessive, possessive with someone.
Yeah.
It could also definitely be an addiction. Remember, substance, activity, or person.
Addictive behaviors, right?
That's an addictive behavior too, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Does our need to live in a society impose any special obligations? Yes, and the first of these is to respect the rights of others, as those who respect those rights will always be fair. In your world, with so many neglect to practice the law of justice, people turn to retaliation, and this causes trouble and confusion in your society. Social life gives rights and imposes corresponding duties.
Okay, so of course, when we live in society, we have special obligations. We have to respect the rights of others. our sense of justice has to, our rights stop when we start interfering with the rights of our neighbor. That's the basic concept of living in society.
Yeah.
The interpretations of justice is when we get into trouble, we as humankind, we as society, because in the end, we are trying to defend our individual rights or our group rights or our country rights. We tend to think that we are right and the others are wrong. And this is a misinterpretation of the true law of justice, right? But when we have this, that's why we've been fighting wars since we started evolving, because both sides in a war think they are right. They have justice. So you are really not treating others as you would like others to treat you, because you are considering them to be inferiors, to be wrong, to be unjust. So we're still a long way, as I said in the beginning, of learning how to properly live in society, respecting the duties and rights of everyone. But again, we're learning. We're getting better than we were before, and we will continue.
Oh, yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are evolving. Again, not saying that there is not a lot of injustice out there, but we are evolving. The first thing is that the law, the human law, gives everyone the same rights. That's the first step. Now, the second step is to put that in practice, that everyone is treated the same way, and we're not there yet. But the first step is to have human laws, right? 50 years ago, you had laws of segregation in many states. So
yes,
that's not treating everybody the same. Now it's illegal to segregate. Doesn't mean that we don't do it. Right?
Very good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it possible for human beings to be deluded with respect to the boundaries of their rights? How do they know the true limits? They can know their own limits by matching them to the limits of the rights that they recognize for others undergoing similar circumstances, and vice versa. If individuals attribute the rights of others to themselves, what happens to subordination beneath superiors? Would this not result in complete anarchy of all power? Natural rights are the same for everyone, from the smallest to the greatest. God has not sculpted some human beings for a better quality clay than others, and all are equal before God. These rights are eternal, while societal rights die with its institutions. Furthermore, people distinctly know their strength or weakness and will always be conscious of feeling a sort of deference to those individuals whose wisdom or virtue deserve respect. This is important so that those who think that they are superior know what duties give them a right to be.
Admired.
Right, to be admired. There'll be, move it up, there'll be no defiance when authority is only granted to superior wisdom.
Okay, so here we're talking about our interpretation of human beings' interpretation of the boundaries, right? How
of the boundaries, yes.
Yes, how do we know our true limits? And you know, the spirits tell us we only will know our true limits by matching them to the limits and the rights that we recognize for others undergoing similar circumstances. So this is pretty much straightforward what we discussed. And then the question is very interesting, right? If we we attribute the rights of others to themselves, what happens to in positions of subordination and leadership, right? Because if we start thinking that we have the right to be the boss, and the boss has no right to be my boss, and this becomes yeah, this becomes a little bit of a
Anarchy.
confusion. Yeah, an anarchy, yes. But when I was reading this, I was thinking of us in Spiritism. How do we relate to more evolved spirits, to the mentors? We have a natural respect for them. We don't think that we can be better than them, or we are better than them. We receive their messages with respect, with admiration, and we know exactly what's our place and what's their place, right? So we just have to apply this to our lives in the physical world. If we are working somewhere and there is a boss, we may not agree, and there is a difference between a mentor and a boss in a firm, but our duty is to respect the laws of the institution, the laws of the place we work, and to respect them and respect ourselves. If we start creating anarchy, it's only going to disrupt our own life, and it's not going to bring us any benefit. So if we believe that we are better than our bosses, we just have to prove it, to work harder, or to find somewhere else to work if we cannot stay. But to subordinate, to insubordinate against our superiors is in the end is a little bit childish, right? Is a little bit of like children rebelling against their parents. As we understand the law of progress, and we understand the necessity to be placed in the places we understand the necessity to be respectful of to those that are above us in the professional work environment that we work. So, as they say here, we know our strength, we know our weaknesses, and so we should have some sort of deference to those individuals whose wisdom and virtue deserve respect. And for those that we think don't deserve to be where they are, it's our job to continue doing our work to find better alternatives without causing anarchy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay, last one.
Okay. What would be the character of those who practice justice in all its purity? That of true justice, following the example of Jesus, because they would love their neighbor and practice charity. Without these virtues, there can be no real justice.
So we have the example of Jesus, but sometimes we think that Jesus is so much above us that we cannot relate. But we have others that have incarnated amongst us that also left their examples. St. Francis of Assisi.
Yes.
Mother Teresa. Of course, we look at them and say, "Oh, but they are way above me." Well, if you study the story of St. Francis of Assisi, he in his youth he struggled. He wasn't even close to being a perfect human being, and he had his own problems, but he improved himself during his incarnation. You read the story of Mother Teresa. She wasn't perfect. The only perfect spirit that incarnated amongst us was Jesus. So she had her issues also, but you can see that they had the desire to practice justice in all its purity. you know, we Spiritists know Chico Xavier and all the work that he has done. We see the desire to practice justice in all its purity. So that's the sense of real justice. They love their neighbor and practice charity all the time. So we have the models, we know it's possible, but we still need to work hard on achieving those virtues. And it looks sometimes that it's beyond reach, that is it's too much above us, but it really isn't, in the sense that we are not here to save the world. We are here to improve ourselves. By knowing what tools do we have to improve ourselves, it's just a matter of using these tools and apply to our daily lives. Because we have the tools, we have the knowledge. What we lack is the desire to apply on our daily lives. Or we are still lazy in terms of making an effort to apply these virtues to our daily lives. But they are there, the examples, and we have I can say that nowadays we Spiritists, we have an almost very advanced sense of justice, understanding of justice. Doesn't mean that we practice it, but we go against our own knowledge a lot of times. But we have a sense, so we have it in front of us. It's just a matter of putting it in practice in our daily lives, like we say every time we pray. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any final comments? We have 2 minutes left. Okay. We have 35 people here. There is someone that is joining us for the first time, want to say hello? You're welcome to say hello and tell us where are you from. If you don't want to, that's fine also. I see some names here I don't recognize, but we would like to know if you know, new people are joining us and if they want to say hi. But we don't want to force anyone to speak if they don't want to. Nope. Okay. So stop sharing this. This weekend we have 2 lectures, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. On Saturday, we have a lecture on the United States Spiritist Federation virtual Spiritist talk series. The talk will be given by Vicente Pessoa. He's a doctor in Goiânia. He's vice president of the Spiritist Medical Association of Goiânia. And his lecture will be on the scientific and spiritual aspects of forgiveness. It's very interesting. I saw the presentation. I actually helped him translate. He brings some very interesting examples of forgiveness that we see out there in cases that we think it's very difficult to forgive. You know, one example that he brings, and I'll allow him to speak on Saturday, is Martin Luther King and some other examples. And Sunday we have our very own Julio giving a lecture on the implications of rational faith.
I like that.
What is faith? And more importantly, what is rational faith? This is what Julio is going to talk to us about on Sunday. So, platform.
This
Yes, Paco.
Sunday.
Okay, so Saturday is through YouTube. You have to go to United States Spiritist Federation on Facebook or on the US Spiritist Federation channel on YouTube at 11 a.m. and you can watch it there. On Sunday is on our regular Zoom platform, the same one you were using today. not YouTube or anything. It's just that our regular Zoom platform, so we can we have here we can have the discussion after, and I'm sure Julio will allow time for questions and everything. Right? You want to add something to your lecture, Julio? No, it's fine. You're in mute. You're in mute, Julio.
I was typing, that's why I put a lot of spaces there. Yes, you'll be able to ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So both Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Okay. Now we are going to ask Carol to do our final prayer.
Yes. Hi. I would be
Hi.
glad to. Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we are grateful for the opportunity to be together this evening. We are grateful for what we have learned through our great mentors and our teachers and those in the spirit world who are assisting us. We are grateful to the spiritual benefactors who are with us. They are guiding us, inspiring us, and helping us to move forward on the path of perfection. We greatly appreciate what we have received this evening through our lecture and through our discussions. May we put into practice and be inspired to use the golden rule whenever we are in doubt as to our actions. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Open our hearts and minds, keep a balanced perception. May we go forward each day in a balanced way, thinking of others, helping others, assisting others, as well as ourselves. May we ask humbly for safety and protection, our health to be always in a better stead. May we wish for others as well, for their health, for their healing, for their well-being during this time. And as we close this portion of the meeting, may we continue with our prayers, with our studies, with our mindfulness and contemplations throughout the week. May we always choose the higher road, and may we know that through divine justice and the natural law that we will improve each and every day. Go forth now as we receive the light and love of Christ within us. Go forth now in peace. So be it.